Good evening, everyone. I warmly welcome you all to another webinar in the webinar series organized by the Internal Audit Standard Board of ICAI. The topic for today's webinar is Internal Audit Report Writing and Communication. And this happens to be the 32nd webinar in the ongoing series by IASB. And we are privileged to have with us learned speaker CA Prashant Daftari sir for the session. I welcome you, sir. So, today's topic is internal audit, report writing, and communication. Internal audit is undeniably the backbone of a sound corporate governance system and has emerged as an inevitable and value adding service. The internal audit report is the most critical outcome of an internal audit engagement. Writing an effective audit report is truly more of an art than a science. And to help us understand and master this art, we are fortunate to have with us a highly learned and experienced faculty in internal audit, CA Prashant Daftari sir. C. Prashant Daftari is partner at N. Shah Associates LLP with nearly 25 years of rich experience in the field of audit and assurance. He is a commerce graduate from Mumbai University had qualified CA in 2004. CA Prashant Daftari began his professional journey as an article clerk in 2001, and through his dedication and technical excellence and passion for the profession rose to become a partner. His areas of expertise are statutory audit, internal and management audit, internal financial control, risk assessment, and so many. He has also played a key role in assisting several companies in their successful transition from GAAP to Ind AS. CA Prashant Daftari is a regular speaker at professional forums such as WRC, CTC, Study Circle, and is actively associated with various professional bodies. Is a member of the Committee on Social Audits and Sustainability Reporting Standards of WRC of ICAI. He also served as convener of the Accounts and Audit Committee of Chamber of Tax Consultant and also member of various other committees. He has been associated with a wide cross section of clients across diverse sectors, helping them adopt a systematic and disciplined approach to the audit with a strong focus on value addition. And we are confident that his practical insights will greatly enrich today's session. So, I now request C. Prashant Daftari sir to kindly take over the session. Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, my panelist, co-panelist, and Renuka, Arun, Beena, Hemil, and the participants who are there on the call. I hope I am audible. I will now share my presentation. Yeah. Is the screen clear? Yeah. Renuka, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I think, as Renuka rightly mentioned in her introduction speech, that internal audit is one of the pillars of a good corporate governance. Uh, and drafting an internal audit report is a very, very important part of the entire internal audit function, because unless and until you are able to present what you have observed, uh, I think the value is lost. And unless the audiences are able to connect to the internal auditor, we will not be able to make a mark with the audience, and that itself is a big communication gap between the auditors as well as the audience. I don't know, the screen, is the screen shared properly? I don't know, I can't see, sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm not able to see the screen. Sorry. Some issue.
It was shared earlier, sir.
Yeah, no, I think there is some issue. Yeah, now it is there. Yeah. I clicked some button by mistake. Yeah, sorry. So, as I was saying, that it is a very, very integral part about how you are able to present your observations and how you are able to make an impact. And report writing plays a very important part in that. And again, whether it is an art, whether it is a science, but definitely there is no such definition, but definitely there needs to be creativity in today's world. Uh, in fact, gone are the days where long reports are in fashion. They are no longer in fashion because the attention span of today's audience is very, very limited. Very unlikely that people sit through a couple of hours of presentation or are able to read 200 pages of a report or 50 pages of a report even. Everybody asks for, you tell me the executive summary. What is it in for me? Uh, I don't know, it's a little radical, but maybe there will be days when the internal audit report could be presented like a Instagram reel or something like that, where you are just saying that this is my observations, or you are talking about the report more in a 5-minute video rather than presenting a 200-page report or 200 observations or 50 observations. And for different audiences, the requirements are different. So that is something we will go through when we look at this entire presentation of how do we enhance the experience of the people who are listening. How do we make an impact and make it associated to your own brand. um, as a chartered accountant, there are a lot of restriction on advertisements and other things. But when you have your own report, you are able to create your own mark and your own style. People should recognize the auditor or the audit firm from the way the report looks, way the report feels, the drafting, the language, the crispness, the simplicity, all those things. You should be able to make a mark on the audience. I think that is a very, very important part of the entire thing. And that is how I look at the reports, because in the end, what matters is your report. What did you do in your audit? What efforts did you make? I think it's all very, very different, but unless you are able to make a mark on the report, it is of no use. What we will cover is what are the various type of internal audit reports. We will try to go into some theory, but at each slide, I will try to share my practical experience in terms of where there are where there have been pitfalls, where we have been able to make an edge over the others, and what are the other areas. Relevance of report writing, we briefly spoke about it. We will elaborate it when we go to that slide. What are the challenges? Why there are problems in report writing? Uh, how do you create an impact? What are the practical suggestions, do's, don'ts, some practical tips, a good report writing format? We will also try to see in today's world how can artificial intelligence help in report drafting. Uh, what should be the elements of internal audit report as per the as per the auditing standards, as per IIA guidelines? There is something called as an executive summary, how important it is, what it is to be done. And then we will obviously have a question answer session. Your questions, you can have that in the chat box, and we can definitely answer. I'll try to answer all of them, because the more the questions, there will be more sharing of experience, more knowledge sharing, and I think it would be more interactive. What is an internal audit report? Internal audit report is a document which is prepared to communicate the outcome of an audit process. So it is done at the end of the audit, it is the final product. And it is very important that we should be able to envisage our product right at the start of our work. Because unless we know what is the end, what is my product, I will not be able to deliver it. Yes, we are delivering a service of an audit, but still look at it as a product, that your report is your final product. And is the product worth the price or not? I think that is a question which we keep on asking, that whether this is worth the price, whether it, for example, if you are taking any product from any shop, you look at the product and you say, yes, this is looks a very good shirt, this looks as a very good mobile phone, this looks as a very nicely presented product. Similarly, when a report is given to the stakeholders, and if they look at a very well presented report, it creates a very, very good impression about the person or the firm. And hence it is obviously very important, and to look at it in that manner and not give very little importance to it, it's a very critical aspect, because there is a constant debate of what is more important. Is the content more important or presentation more important? I think that will be a question which will be there in the minds of many people. But I would say it is a equal weightage to both. A good content and a bad presentation is a bad report, and very good presentation without any content is also a bad report, because you may be able to sail through once or twice, but it doesn't really happen. You will be caught. Uh, right. So this is what is an audit report. Various types of audit report are there. You will have a detailed report. You have an interim report. Interim report is something when you issue a interim report saying that yes, this is a large audit, but I have completed some work. I need to communicate my findings, because there could be points where immediate action is required to be taken. Executive summary, and which is a summary of the report, which is usually presented to the board of directors, audit committee, senior management, promoters, where you give an overall perspective and give a comfort or a discomfort to the audience. Then flash report is something where an urgent action is required. So I will give you an example. For example, there were few duplicate payments which have got identified during the audit process. Now, do you wait till the entire audit is completed and after 40 days to say that yes, you made some double payments, or you immediately inform the management that hey, there is a case, we saw there is a double payment happening, please take action, recover your money fast? Or there were cases where certain export licenses were expiring. Uh, the due dates were expiring unless renewed, or you sell them in the market, or you import against those. Those expiry dates were very near. Had you waited for the report to end and report to the audit to end, then issue of the report, you would have been in a situation there where the loss would have already happened. Here you are able to prevent a loss. And when you are able to do such things, the value of your work in the eyes of the management increases multifold. And hence, it becomes important to know that these are also forms of communication that you should keep on doing it. Yes, the way you present, way you draft those reports could be very different. There could be some caveats, but still that awareness that we need to have some of these type of reports is very important. I have been talking about this from the start of my presentation, that final product of internal audit. I think this is very important. Final product of internal audit. Branding of the firm or a professional. Recall value. Yes, when I see the report, I know this is this firm's report. It has to create an impact on the reader. It's a recognition of the work done. It needs to connect with the reader. If it is not connecting with the reader, it is of no relevance. I think this is very important, connecting with the reader, because today attention span is very, very less. And unless you are able to connect to the reader, it really is a big problem. I have seen cases and also experienced in my life that maybe in some presentations you are able to connect to the reader in first 10 minutes, and then the entire presentation goes very smoothly. And in some cases, you are not able to connect to the reader, and then there are gaps at the start, and then it just goes downhill. So, connecting with the reader, so you should know who your readers are, who your audience is, what should be my first slide, what should be my second slide, what should be my cover page be, how should I end the report, should I summarize at the start, should I summarize at the end? Various options are available, and use the right options for the right type of audience. What works for one audience may not work for all of the audiences. And hence, it is very important that we put some thought. Should not be an automated process that, yes, team is working on an observation there is a standard report format. You keep on using and churning out. We are not like a factory where we keep on churning out reports. We have to understand what is the need of the client, and produce a report which exactly suits that need, anticipating what would be the client's question, anticipating what would be his requirements, what he is looking at, whether we are able to deliver that product or not. Look at it as at the end, look at it as a product, and look at that whether this product delivers what is required by the client. And it is not that we have to do it as a statutory compliance, that it has to happen. It's the statutory compliance part and all are there, but this is one area where you can use some creativity. You can use pictures, you can use drawings, you can use charts, you can use videos, and make a report. For example, if you're doing a stock take, you can take a video of the warehouse and show the management that your stock is not correctly placed. It is captured in a very dirty way. There is water seepages. There are rats moving around, and that video would create a tremendous impact rather than a report which would say all these things. You can be innovative, right? So try and see where you can do what. It is very important. Let us look at the challenges and why report drafting becomes difficult. Because I have seen cases in my practical life where people say that report writing, I did audit for 2 weeks, I'm writing report for 2 weeks. Now, how does that really make sense? And this is something which is happening day in and day out. Even today, I have seen these issues happening. Why should this happen? And it is absurd. You look at the time cost, whether it is worth. It's like a newspaper. If it is not delivered on time, it loses value, right? It really loses value. So, are we delivering on time? Did we achieve what was required to do? I think those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. If my team is struggling to draft the report, why they are struggling? Do they not understand English language? Do they not understand what is required to be written? Is the format an issue? Is lack of clarity, which is the next point, an issue? What is the issue? As a senior, you will have to step in, give that guidance, lead from the front. One of the critical point why people lack clarity is what is required by the senior, what is required by the client. Because team writes a report in Excel format, then the senior says, no, no, Excel is not the right format, make it in Word. Then somebody says, no, no, PowerPoint is the right format. PowerPoint looks better. Let us do it in PowerPoint. Now, same report has been drafted thrice. Is it, who will pay for this cost? So that is not the right approach. You have a standard format, you have a standard presentation, then keep some room for creativity, create a structure which is there, which is in accordance with the requirement of the ICI auditing standards, international auditing standards, which are there on the internal audit, and try to see whether my report format works or not. Give clarity to the team. Another area where there is a lot of lack of clarity is on the observation. What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that bank reconciliation is not prepared on time? Are you trying to say that there are issues in clearing of checks? Because people beat around the bush. People say that we found observations where checks are issued, but the end clearing date is not captured. This is not done. This is not done. But what is the core issue? Come to that. Do not beat around the bush. Focus on the key issue. Focus on the root cause, because people don't have time to listen this to the story. Said this person did this, then this happened that, and people keep on writing long, long stories. And by the time you reach the real issue, you are lost. So that is something which is a common problem. We will see how do we deal with that problem as we go forward in these slides. People do not realize what should be my end product, because then till that time, this is my end product, this is my goal. How will you reach there? Even if you go for a run, even if you go for a marathon, that is my end. If you don't know this is what I want to deliver, how will you even deliver that? And I think that vision is something which is very, very important, of what should my product look like, what should it deliver. I'm trying to mark out some of the critical words, but this is something which we should keep on looking at. Stakeholder expectation not clear, very big problem. Can I deliver a 200-page report to audit committee? Answer is clearly no, because they do not expect that. Can I deliver a 4-page report to a process owner? Again, answer is no. प्रोसेस ओनर वांट्स लॉट ऑफ डिटेल्स. उसको एनेक्चर भी लगता है, उसको डिटेल लगता है, इंस्टेंसेस लगते हैं, उसको परसेंटेज लगता है, उसको पॉपुलेशन साइज लगता है. ही विल नीड लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. ही विल गो इनटू द डिटेल्स. एग्रीमेंट में वर्ड में क्या लिखा है, इसमें क्या है. दे विल गो इनटू थाउजेंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स. सो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस रिपोर्ट इज फॉर whom. Is it for CFO? Is it for CEO? Is it for the managing director? Is it for the audit committee? Is it internal consumption? It is external consumption, because there is another challenge. What do you report for internal purposes? What should be reported for two external purposes? Is it going to a state regulator? Do you change something? Right? We have to be careful when it is being issued to a regulator. Is it going to go to audit committee chairman? Is it going to go to RBI? Is it going to go to the internal team? Again, language, tone, presentation, everything changes. So clarity about the stakeholder and what each stakeholder expects is something that we should be very clear about. The engagement partner or the senior in charge of the audit should be able to give a clear guidelines that this is my audience, this is what we need to do, this is what is expected by them. Keep on connecting to your client on a periodic interval. You have to understand your client and deliver accordingly. Ask the question, does the report communicate what we really want to communicate? I have read so many reports where people write everything other than what is required to be written. They say this happened, but is the what is the observation? That is not written only, or that is written in such a manner that you don't even realize that it is an observation. Everything else is written other than the observation. Then people will not connect. People will get bored. People will lose your you lose the person. And once the person is lost in 3-4 pages, he will just close the file and shut down that. ठीक है कोई समझाएगा कोई इशू होगा तो मेरे पास आएगा then we will deal with it. No point reading this report. Reading a report should be such that based on your title, based on your cover page, that person should be excited. यार कुछ पढ़ना है इसमें कुछ निकलेगा. There is something which is there for me. I should be excited to read the report, and that is something which we should try and create. Yeah. See, obviously, report writing and all those things, in theory, they are very dry subjects. But as you do it more and more practically, things become more interesting. So, if people have had any experiences in terms of their things, please put it in the chat box. We will try and discuss some of those matters also. Very important. First impression is the last impression. I think we have all learned this, we all know this. But do we really implement this as a chartered accountant? I think we have to think very differently. We should not think as a very, very typical chartered accountant and saying that TSK, I have done this audit. I have read some reports that we did this audit, we verified this, found everything in order. Even if you want to give an assurance report, there has to be, there could be creativity. You could use three signals saying red, green, yellow. Green signal, you are at green signal, please go ahead, no problems. That could be another way to present the same thing which I spoke, right? Rather than saying everything is in order, make a signal and say you are at green signal, no problem. You are in red signal, stop, right? You imagine what impact it will create on the reader, right? You will immediately connect it to the reader. You will connect to the promoters. I think that is very important. Today, the reports have to connect to the promoters because they are the people who are taking the decision about किसको appoint करना, किसको निकालना, what should be the fees, what should be the next year's increment. Agar we are not able to connect with the promoter, how do you do that? Right? And remember, first impression is the last impression. This is something you cannot forget. The first slide of the report is very important. There cannot be any spelling mistake. There cannot be any grammatical mistakes. Whatever has to be there has to be perfect. I think if you miss that, you have missed the boat. I think we have to be very clear about that. Right? It says people begin forming opinion within seconds. And once the opinion is formed, it is very difficult to reverse the opinion. I think we all understand as a chartered accountant that we form an opinion. Once we form an opinion, even we don't reverse the opinion, we don't change the opinion, right? Coming back to the stakeholders, because we need to see how we solve the problem of report writing, because I have had many, many cases, even in my team. There are been cases where the person keeps on writing the report and he still spends hours and hours writing the report, and then he comes out with a product that you don't like it. Why does that happen? Observation is not properly captured, root cause is not written, recommendation is not written correctly, so many mistakes. And it becomes like a trap. Once a report is there, then senior keeps on correcting it, then junior goes back, he redrafts, it comes back, you make again corrections, again it goes back. It's a huge process. Anybody who are part of the large internal audit teams would understand this, that not getting it first time right is a big problem in report drafting. We need to solve that problem. We need to standardize some of the things. That yes, if there is an observation that PO is not created based on PR and there is no system for creating a PO, it is manual, all those type of observations may be there. But if this is the observation, how do you draft that observation? There has to be some standard guidelines in terms of drafting. For executive summary, what will you do? For detailed report, what will you do? Those things are something which we need to formulate. And while formulating that, we need to understand the client and the stakeholders. So these are the different stakeholders. You have process owners, you have HODs, you have CEO, MDs, audit committee, statutory auditor, another big one. So you have to understand these are various stakeholders. There could be regulators. He could also be a stakeholder here, right? There are certain internal reports which are issued to regulators. Some reports go to SEBI, stockbrokers and other areas. It goes to SEBI, credit rating agencies. It goes to SEBI. So we need to understand who are the stakeholders, who are the things, and draft accordingly. These are the typical expectations which are there from a process owner. Process owner wants a genuine observation. He wants correct process understanding. So first, whether your understanding of the process is correct or not, all they need you to listen to their point of view. So whether their point of view is communicated in the report, not communicated in the report, and they want practical suggestions. We have to ensure that whatever suggestions are made in the report are practical. I will give you one example, and it is there somewhere in the other slide. So you have an observation typical that we have observed that company has not deducted TDS of rupees 50,000 on various payments made. Suggestion is please deposit the TDS on time, right? But that is not the real suggestion. That is not what is expected out of internal auditor. First, understand why he did not deduct. Was it a human error? Was it an issue because the law changed? Training issue? Was it a system issue that system was to automatically deduct, but it did not? It did not deduct. Then you give a recommendation that TDS was not deducted because the concerned person was not aware about the revised regulation which changed in the last budget, and hence we suggest that there should be a periodic training of the people who are involved in this activity. So there has to be some sort of a practical suggestion. We understand the root cause, make a practical suggestion. Or you can say that person who was deducting did not is not aware about the knowledge because maybe he has a limitation on the knowledge. He's not a chartered accountant. But then you can say that his work should be reviewed by a senior. There has to be a maker checker control. That could be another suggestion based on the situation. But try to do that. That is what process owners want. Process owners also want that their explanation should become part of the report because they may have a genuine explanation sometimes. Understand that empathy hona chahiye. The auditor should have that empathy while drafting the report. It should not be one sided. There should not be any biasness. That is what is expected. CFO, what they want, what is the value addition, कितना पैसा बच गया मेरा report में, what did you deliver? I think he wants that. He's looking at that. Then you have to give him that. We have to give him a summary of cost saving at the end of the report if required. We have to give him these are the key improvements which will happen and the benefits of that possibly. They are looking at a standardized format. Every time you see a different report, sometimes they get upset. A fair presentation is something which a lot of stakeholders expect. It is a common expectation that you need to be fair. You need to look at implementation status, whether process owner ने accept किया कि नहीं. CFO से आपने discuss किया, but you have not discussed with the process owner. Is it a good practice? No. So the report has to go through that complete chain, complete process. Audit committee, the expectations are very different. They look at an overall picture. They want to understand how the controls are functioning. The timing is limited for an audit committee presentation. It could be 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You have to create an impact in 20 minutes. So your communication, your speech, your presentation, your colors, everything has to be bang on. You need to understand this is my audit committee, this is what they look at. Am I giving an assurance saying, sir, the controls are in place, things are happening okay? Some improvement points have been suggested by us, we will go through them. Is that your pitch? Or you may are saying, sir, there are many issues, there are a lot of control gaps. We have highlighted that in the report. Management is taking action on the same. The summary is presented after this. Are you in that tone? Right? The tone changes the way you present it. The report also has to be written in that format. Statutory auditors are another set of people who may be looking at it in a very, very different manner. They look at where key control gaps, whether it impacts IFC reporting, does not impact IFC reporting, does it impact any statutory compliances, coverage, sample size, adequacy. They will look at all those type of things. So that is another set of audience that you need to engage with. And once your reports are going to statutory auditors, you need to ensure that it goes with a proper fair presentation with all the things that he is going to look at. Otherwise, there will be questions from his side. So this is what, once we understand their expectations, we start drafting the report in the manner which is going to meet his expectations. Keep the audience in mind. It's like preparing any product. Keep the audience in mind. Think about the audience. Close your eyes before you draft the report. Think about the audience. That is what I said. Gauge and ponder a little bit. It's not that ठीक है अभी ऑडिट हो गया रिपोर्ट लिखो वर्ड में फटाफट फटाफट with 10 spelling mistakes issue the report. No, it can't happen that way. I have still seen reports with so many spelling mistakes, so many language issues, drafting errors, incomplete sentences, and the reports are issued. It's not a formality. Let us not make it a formality. Yeah. So once you've identified the stakeholders, for each stakeholders there is a different way you deal with it. With the process owners, you send all your queries and say these are my queries in a draft format, but that has to be properly structured. So this is my query. This is what I believe is the root cause. This is what I believe is a good way forward. These are the instances. These are the annexures. Let us discuss them jointly. Then draft the report. Take formal feedback. Take management comments. Summarize it and go to the next level. Further summarize it, refine it, go to the one level higher. Slowly and steadily, it happens. I've seen large companies, the report when you start and the way you end is very, very different. The perspective keeps on changing. Every senior level you go, the perspective is different. The things start changing and new thought process gets added. Yeah, so keep on moving from one stage to another, one stage to another. And this is most important. You need to keep this stakeholder satisfied. This group of stakeholders. Here also there could be different expectations, but largely these are the key stakeholders. Obviously, the process on HODs are very important. It's not that they are not important, but your audit committee, especially on the listed side, the CFO, COOs, because they need to have confidence in the auditor. You need to build that confidence. And your reports are one of the mechanisms of building that confidence. Some of the common mistakes that I said that the stakeholders are different and have completely delivered a wrong product. Very, very transaction oriented. And I think that is a very, very big failure. That don't be so much transaction oriented, that you focus so much on transaction. There is an example that you can draft a point like saying in 10 cases, 50 vouchers were not authorized. That could be one way of drafting. That 50 vouchers we observed, we audited 100 cases, out of which certain cases are not authorized. Now it could be presented in a very different way. 50% of the cases lacked authorization because of the maker checker system failure, or there could be some other root cause, or that maker checker is human and it did not happen that way and it was through system. So you can provide a completely different perspective to a very simple point. Not bringing out implications and risk. Unless you bring out the implication and the risk, the value of the report can never be seen. What is the risk? What happens if this goes wrong? How do you quantify that risk? How do you bring out the implications? That is the challenge. And we, as an auditors, focus more on observation, but not about the implications. For auditors, every observation is important. But from a management point of view, all observations are not of equal importance. There could be few observations which are very critical and few observations which may not be so critical. Management may not have the bandwidth to to implement everything at once. It is not possible sometimes. Financially viable भी नहीं होता है. So they will want to grade it. Critical, medium critical, less critical. Do some grading. High risk, medium risk, low risk. Whatever that grading is, whatever mechanisms you are using, there has to be some grading of observations. Unless there is a grading, the implications are linked to the grading and the risk are linked to the grading, you will never be able to deliver a right internal audit report. Lack of practical recommendations. Very, very important. As I said, TDS not deducted, recommendations, please deduct TDS. Now, that is not a practical recommendation. The practical recommendation would be to go deeper into the subject, understand why TDS is not deducted, and give a solution to correct it permanently. We are not correcting a transaction, we are correcting a system. So that is why this and this bullets are interconnected. Right? Because unless you attack the system, you will be transaction oriented. And you will be branded as a transaction oriented, old fashioned internal auditor. Right? Another common mistake is to focus only on mistakes and negativity. Audit is associated with being negative. Auditor है mistake ढूंढ रहा है. Why do we want to project ourselves as a policeman? Why don't we project ourselves as partners? Completely different way of looking at things, right? That we are your partners, we are your support system, we are going to help you. We are not policemen. We are not auditors. Sometimes using the word auditor itself is a negative thing. Then because the mindset is of a policeman, your language, your drafting, choice of words, everything will be like a policeman. I have seen people write for a very, very small thing, there is a misappropriation of so much. No, whether it is a really a misappropriation, is misappropriation the right word? Right? It's a very damaging word, misappropriation, unless it is properly justified and proved, or it's a fraud case that you're reporting. But do we really go deep with prior to using such words? Because if that is not the correct word, then what are you doing? You are pushing the auditee that much far away from you that he will not see you as a business partner. He will not even talk to you, neither share a proper information with you. So we need to have that right balance, be fair in the words, in the choice of language, very, very clear. There could be an idea that you also share positive points in the report. That these are the good practices. Appreciate the process owners in the report and bring that out very clearly to the seniors. So the process owner will also feel happy. उसने अच्छा काम किया तो he is identifying that. बुरा काम किया तो वो भी बता रहा है. There is a balance reporting. And sometimes when you are giving an assurance report, that positive slide or the section where positive things are there, strong controls are listed down, really helps the management to give them a comfort that इन्होंने इतना इतना डेप्थ में देखा है, उसके बाद बोल रहे हैं कि भाई कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Right? Do not project process owners as villains. Sometimes we say ये कुछ नहीं करता है, they don't do this, they don't do this, they don't do this, but understand their problems, right? They don't do why? Because are they lazy? Do they don't understand? Or there are issues? Or we have not understood what they are really doing? Right? And another connected problem is blowing things out of proportion. This is a typical auditor habit of saying, oh, this is so bad, you have not authorized, इसमें तो ये हो जाएगा, doomsday हो जाएगा, heavens are going to fall. Do not blow things out of proportion. Again, area where you have to maintain a lot of balance. Do not jump to conclusions. Do not write things like I said, misappropriation of funds हो गया, and all those things. It tends to blow out of proportion. Management may look at a very different thing. It should not have that internal control failure. Because of internal control failure, this is happened. Whether it was one of instance or whether it's a systematic, we have to study that. After studying, give a proper answer. Very important slide, and something which we keep on making those mistakes. Spelling errors, big issue in today's world. With so many support system, people still make spelling errors. Yesterday I was reading a report which was shared with to me. Instead of from, it was written form, FRM. Now, right, there is a huge difference between from and form. Trial balance, people say, there was a report where I read trial balance को trail balance बना दिया था. ट्रायल का वर्ड स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक के वजह से उसको ट्रेल बना दिया. नाउ बोथ आर वर्ड्स, तो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के रेड वाले में भी इट डिड नॉट गेट पिक्ड अप. बट हाउ डू यू थिंक पीपल विल रीड this type of mistakes? Do you think it is right, and that we just in the hurry to finish of the work we do this? Another very very common mistake is that planning नहीं करते हम लोग टाइम पे. रिपोर्ट ड्राफ्टिंग को एडिक्वेट टाइम देना चाहिए. इफ द असाइनमेंट इज फॉर 30 days, you have to block some time for report drafting in advance. But that time you use in execution. Execution आपका डिले हो गया. Now the due date is there. Now only 1 day is remaining for the report. जो भी है लिख दो, फटाफट फटाफट ड्राफ्ट करो. Why? Why such treatment only to report drafting? Because मैं पॉइंट तो चाहिए ना रिपोर्ट में. पॉइंट नहीं रहेगा तो रिपोर्ट क्या लिखेगा? That is the argument which my junior gave it to me. But way you write the report anyway, their point is worthless because people don't even understand what you're trying to write. So balance is very important. It's like appearing for an exam. ये सेक्शन छोड़ दिया तो उसका भी कंपलसरी मार्क्स तो जाएगा ना. Then you have to give equal balances to everybody. So that is a very very big mistake which people make. Wrong English, grammar is not correct. Big problem. Today there are so many apps which are available to do. Grammarly hai, so many apps which are there. You can install those apps in your computer, in your word के अंदर में भी auto correction है. Use some of the intelligent apps. Use artificial intelligence if required. Use Copilot, use Chat GPT, whatever you want to do, but don't write wrong English. Do not make it too flowery by copy pasting Chat GPT. We will see, we have slides on Chat GPT also, but ensure that yes, you take due care and write a right English. Incomplete sentences. Another thing. And people may be laughing, people may be thinking, ये सब क्या है? But everybody in their day-to-day work would read this. Right? ये गलती होती है. Very long sentences. This is another example. I still keep on reading. People write a long sentence, ना full stop, ना comma, लिखते जा रहा है एक पूरा पैराग्राफ लिख दिया, उसके अंदर कॉमा फुल स्टॉप भी नहीं है, किधर भी नहीं है. हाउ डू यू रीड, हाउ डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट पैराग्राफ? छोटा सेंटेंस लिखो, बुलेट्स में कन्वर्ट करो इफ रिक्वायर्ड, अंडरस्टैंडेबल रखो. Do not write, people think, another common mistake which I have seen is people think in their mother language and write it in English. So I think in my mind the thought process is in Hindi or Gujarati, but I write in English. So मेरा जो इंग्लिश रिटर्न आता है ना, वो कॉम्बिनेशन है गुजराती इंग्लिश. So people try to sometimes make such, और रिपोर्ट ड्राफ्टिंग के टाइम में ऐसे ऐसी मिस्टेक्स करते हैं that you while reading the report you say that is this the right meaning? born, BORNE को बॉर्न कर देते हैं. प्रेजेंट टेंस को पास्ट टेंस कर देते हैं, पास्ट को प्रेजेंट कर देते हैं. कंपनी कंपनी हैड एंटर्ड इनटू अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट विद द कस्टमर. इसमें पीपल राइट कंपनी वाज एंटर्ड इनटू अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट विद द कस्टमर. अब वो करंट में है कि पास्ट है, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कंटिन्यूइंग है कि कंटिन्यूइंग नहीं है. So people who go to lawyers regularly for other things will understand all these things, but it is not about legal language. इट इज अबाउट सिंपल लैंग्वेज. पीपल शुड अंडरस्टैंड. रीडर को समझना चाहिए बोलना क्या चाह रहे हैं. राइट. सो this is something that we should be mindful of. These are the common mistakes. I have one slide which is there where so all the common mistakes are getting highlighted. Punctuation incorrect use. अभी people do not know comma किधर use करने का, semicolon किधर use करने का, full stop कहाँ पे आता है. Full stop के बाद first letter is capital. Mistake. Sometimes नेम ऑफ द कंपनी में फर्स्ट लेटर कैपिटल नहीं होता, स्मॉल से लिखते हैं, बिकॉज वो कॉपी पेस्ट किया था सैप में से तो स्मॉल पे ही आ गया. राइट. प्राइवेट लिमिटेड में पीवीटी किधर लिखते हैं, कभी प्राइवेट लिखते हैं. डू नॉट मेक सच मिस्टेक्स. बी कंसिस्टेंट. पीपल यूज शॉर्ट फॉर्म्स. नाउ दैट शॉर्ट फॉर्म इज नेवर डिफाइंड. देयर इज नो ग्लॉसरी ऑफ टर्म्स यूज्ड एनीवेयर इन द रिपोर्ट. रीडर को कैसे पता चलेगा ये शॉर्ट फॉर्म क्या है. राइट. So a lot of drafting errors, and this irritates the reader. Do not do a drafting error. You go to the flow of the report. Very important. फ्लो होता है. अब when you look अब आपने कोई मूवी देखा तो मूवी में एक फ्लो होता है. There is a way things keep on coming. You are like a director. It's a movie. There is a flow. In between everything is odd. How will you connect it? Do not do it that way. Let it flow very naturally. There has to be a thought process behind the flow of the report. What should be my first observation should be? It should be the most critical observation, or I am going by the flow. So for example, if I'm doing a P2P audit, then should I start with observations on material resource planning, PR, PO, receipt of material, bill passing, verification of the bill? ऐसा flow में जाना चाहिए मेरे को, या मेरे को highest critical observation में जाना चाहिए सबसे पहले. There are thought processes. Apply your mind. Think about it. What your client, how your client is going to look at the report. ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है रिपोर्ट का. प्रोसेस ऑडिट करवा रहा है, इंटरनल ऑडिट करवा रहा है. थिंक अबाउट इट. मैं आई हैव सीन केसेस वेयर पीपल राइट द फर्स्ट 3 पॉइंट्स आर द वर्स्ट पॉइंट्स इन द रिपोर्ट, एंड द 7th 8th पॉइंट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट लास्ट में. रिपोर्ट के लास्ट तक वो रिपोर्ट में कोई रीडर रीड ही नहीं करेगा वो रिपोर्ट. तो स्टार्टिंग के 4 पॉइंट में बोर हो गया, वो रिपोर्ट बंद करके खत्म. राइट. तो देन यू नो नहीं ये रीडर का टाइम स्पेंड. आई नो देयर आर फ्यू क्लाइंट्स that they will listen to me only for 10 minutes. Now, in the first 10 minutes, you cannot talk about anything and anything else. It has to be the most critical point. Take his attention when it is the most available, and take the best out of that. Right? Incomplete information होता है. Sample size नहीं होता. People had 10 cases of vouchers not authorized, but 10 out of what? 1 lakh? Then is it even worth reporting? Or 10 out of 10? 10 out of 10 authorization नहीं है, लेकिन risk low है. Is it the right way of reporting? Right. They are not the right way of reporting. Sample size is not there, extent of problem, root cause, quantification. People do not quantify the issues. Unless you quantify the issues, the impact is not known and the value of the report is not known. People should get an idea about what is the impact. Poorly drafted recommendations, vague comments and sentences do not confuse the reader. I have my some presentations when some of my clients, their attention span is so small. उनको कुछ भी confusing चीज दिख गया then they are bored. कि छोड़ दे, मेरे को समझ में नहीं आता है, तुमको जो बोलना है तुम बोलो. They will not even listen to you. It is not that उनका लॉस हो रहा है, अपना भी लॉस हो रहा है. We should not feel that ठीक है, he is not listening to me, it's his problem. No, it is even our problem. We are not communicating correctly. Because if he is not understanding, he is not valuing your work. और वो वैल्यू नहीं करेगा तो रिन्यू नहीं करेगा असाइनमेंट. राइट. रिपोर्ट राइटिंग इतना पेनफुल हो जाता है ना. समटाइम्स आई गेट रिपोर्ट्स टू रिव्यू 50 पेज 60 रिपोर्ट्स एंड आई फील लाइक इट शुड, ये क्या है ये 50 पेज का रिपोर्ट जरूरी है पढ़ना. क्या निकलेगा ये पढ़ के. नोबडी इज हैप्पी डू रीडिंग सो मच. राइट. अनदर वेरी वेरी कॉमन एरर इज दैट सब ऑडिट हो गया, 3 वीक पूरा क्लाइंट किधर बैठा, सब हो गया, अभी ऑफिस में आए टीम, देन स्टार्ट राइटिंग द रिपोर्ट. रिपोर्ट राइटिंग करते फर्स्ट पॉइंट, अरे व्हाट वाज दिस याद नहीं आ रहा है, क्लाइंट को फोन करो वापस. इसमें सर आपने क्या बताया था, इसका ये डिटेल नहीं है, जरा प्लीज प्लीज भेजिए ना. इसमें ये एनेक्चर बनाया मैंने, मेरे को ये पैन नंबर सब लोगों का नहीं मिला, आप भेजोगे क्या. ये कॉन्टैक्ट डिटेल्स बराबर नहीं है, इसके अंदर में नाम नहीं आ रहा है, इसमें क्वांटिटी नहीं आ रहा है, आप डिटेल भेजो ना। क्लाइंट इज ऑल्सो भी 3 हफ्ता इधर बोर करके गए मेरे को, वापिस अभी करके फोन फोन करके डिटेल मांग रहे, कभी होगा ये काम खत्म? तो दे विल टेक सेंड एट देयर ओन स्वीट टाइम, तब तक रिपोर्ट इज ऑल्सो पेंडिंग, एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग ऑन, चल रहा है, लिख रहे कर रहे हैं, 2-3 हफ्ता निकल गया। वेरी बिग मिस्टेक। डू नॉट डू दिस। काम करते करते आप कर लो, एट द सेम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम ही करो आप, बीच बीच में नहीं करने का है। वी आर नॉट डूइंग दिस राइट, सेइंग कि यार अभी ये कर लो बाद में करेंगे चलेगा। डू नॉट डू दैट वे, not does not really work, right? So that is not the right way to work, unless until it all creates a huge problem. So do not do that. So that is not the right way to work. Observation पे grip नहीं होता है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग दी ऑब्जर्वेशन, देर इज नो ग्रिप, देर इज लॉट ऑफ मिसकम्युनिकेशन। क्लाइंट ने तो बोला ऐसा भी था, ऐसा भी था, फिर ये हुआ, लेकिन ये एरर इस नहीं था, ये सर्कमस्टेंशियल था। बट व्हाट, राइट, हैज टू हैव क्लैरिटी। हु मेड दैट मिस्टेक, क्यों हुआ, काय को हुआ, पीपल वांट दैट क्लैरिटी इन कम्युनिकेशन। It should not happen that way. So this is a specimen of an observation and a recommendation slide. So you have observation, risk impact, litigation, management response, action plan. Here you can add date, person responsible, all those things can be added. Right? 30 fixed assets of 23 not physically available at this. We have noticed we're not physically available and all those things are there, right? But now you see there are certain errors in the drafting. Now, once I will go to the next slide, there are a lot of errors in this report draft slide. If people are able to make out, there are many errors. I will try and point out some of them when we go to the next slide. Font styles are different, incorrect dates are there, totals are not matching, font is different, grand total में mistake है, different font size again here, incorrect placing, ये high risk किधर किधर होता है, इधर कहीं टाइटल पे आना चाहिए, ब्रांच टाइटल में इशू है, नीचे अहमदाबाद है, इधर बड़ोड़ा है। See these issues? बुलेट्स अलग है, इधर अपन ने कभी राउंड बुलेट कर दिया, इधर स्क्वायर बुलेट कर दिया, ऐसा क्यों करने का? करेंसी सिंबल में इशू है, सो मेनी इश्यूज इन दिस वन सिंगल स्लाइड। अपेरेंटली अपने को लग रहा था ये ठीक है, बट व्हेन यू गो इनटू दैट यू रियलाइज दैट दिस इज नॉट द वे यू डू इट, एंड सम ऑफ द मिस्टेक्स साउंड टू बी सिली, राइट? दिखता है ना, सिली मिस्टेक्स लग रहा है ना? बट नाउ रीड थिंक फ्रॉम अ क्लाइंट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, क्लाइंट को ऐसा रिपोर्ट डिलीवर किया तो क्या किया हमने, राइट? वी आर जस्ट नॉट क्रिएटिंग एनीथिंग, वी आर स्पॉइलिंग इट। So think about this and think and correlate with the work that you are actually reviewing, work that you are actually doing. I am sure you would have been able to connect with some of the examples which I am trying to give you, and it would really help that the small small things, if you pay attention, we can do wonders. We have done a good job, observation तो निकाला, लेकिन उसको ठीक से प्रेजेंट करना चाहिए। This may be a correct way to draft it or a better way to draft it. We will now look at some of the practical suggestions, and I have been talking about various practical things right from the start, but some more practical parts which are there. Most important thing is simplicity and clarity in communication. And it's a universal principle, universal rule. Whatever you do, have simplicity and clarity. You are not talking to a chartered accountant. You are not talking to a finance person always. You are talking to an architect. You may be talking to a promoter who is not finance savvy, who does not understand. He understands business, but he's not finance savvy. He does not understand internal audit, right? But you have to communicate with them in their language. what they understand. I think that is very important. Go from macro to micro. Talk about the big picture. That mota moti, this is what is it. This is what we feel. This is our view because of this reason. I give you that example that we believe controls are in place, largely in place in most of the areas, except few cases where we found certain weaknesses, and these are the remedial action by which you can correct it. Start with the big picture, then go to the micro, then go to each smaller observation. Always big to small. It sets the tone. पहले उसको मैक्रो पता चल गया, उसको हेडलाइन मिल गया कि कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, तो ही इज रिलैक्स, देन ही इज थिंकिंग डिफरेंटली. हेडलाइन मिल गया बहुत प्रॉब्लम है, reader is looking at it very differently. Give that headline. That is what I have mentioned here. Gives overall comfort or discomfort. Overall picture. See some of these words, very, very important. Remember them. First three, 4 points have to be the strongest points, most important points. You have to keep the reader interested. In today's world, Gen Z world, some of the promoters are very young, in fact. They may have raised big companies, capital from large funds, and they may be running big companies, startups. Promoters do not really want to read all these things up in a standard theoretical formats. They are not really interested there. They want very different products. They need to be entertained. They are looking at ROI. They are looking at benefits. They are looking at threats, risk. Are we producing it? Even if you've done the work, are you using the right terminology? Are you communicating correctly? Very important. And I'm repeating some of these things because we need to get it in our systems. Treat the report like a business proposal. Report should engage the audience. Engage. उसको क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहिए. कम्युनिकेशन के लिए इट शुड बी द राइट बेस फॉर अ कम्युनिकेशन. कॉमन मिस्टेक, इम्पैक्ट ही नहीं मालूम है ऑब्जर्वेशन का, तो किसको इंटरेस्ट आएगा. हेडिंग्स अच्छा होना चाहिए. न्यूज़पेपर हम लोग पढ़ते हैं, आगे रिपोर्ट का भी पूरा न्यूज़पेपर में आर्टिकल का भी पढ़ते हैं, हेडिंग इज इंटरेस्टिंग. राइट, यू सी द रिपोर्ट, दे हेडिंग्स इतना सेंसेशनलाइज कर देते हैं. वी कैन नॉट डू so much sensationalization in our report, but still there has to be a good heading, good title. It should not be the other extreme of the newspapers or the reporting which happens on the TV today, that it is sensationalized to a very, very different level, but it has to have some balance. But at least try to have a heading or a title which creates an impact. Report has to be divided into various sections, area, criticality, conclusion, and it could be different approaches. There is no right and a wrong approach. But have a logic, think, apply your mind. Overall analysis, summary of points, correct grammar and language, very very important. Use of pie charts, graphs, ये हम लोग बहुत इग्नोर करते हैं. इतने सारी फैसिलिटीज हैं वर्ड में, पावर पॉइंट में. पावर पॉइंट हैज सो मेनी थिंग्स, स्मार्ट आर्ट है. वी आर नॉट यूजिंग इट इनफ. वी जस्ट कीप ऑन राइटिंग इट इन अ वेरी वेरी बोरिंग मैनर. मेक इट इंटरेस्टिंग. कार्टून्स यूज कर सकते हो कम्युनिकेशन के लिए, चार्ट्स यूज कर सकते हैं, टेबुलेशंस यूज कर सकते हैं. So we should try to see what all we can do, how we can improve the communication, making it more interesting, colorful, friendly. As I said, वीडियो डाल सकते हैं, पिक्चर्स डाल सकते हैं साइट के, गोडाउन के, और obviously you may have to take some consent and other things, but these are all possibilities. We should not be ignoring some of these possibilities. So that is what I was talking about, use of pictures. Flowchart we don't use. We write a big process is पूरा लंबा लंबा लिखते हैं. तो instead of flowchart में communicate it very effectively. You write the first voucher, first MRP is done by person Y, then it is approved by Z, then it is entered in the system, then PR is generated. After PR, this person prepares PO, it is checked by Mr. X, then it is checked by Mr. Y, then it is entered in the system. Orders are placed to with the custom vendor. ऐसा हम लोग लिखें, उससे चाहे फ्लो चार्ट बना देते हैं. राइट. यूज ऑफ पिक्चर्स में वेरी वेरी कॉमनली यूज इज सेफ्टी लैप्सेस. यू गो टू अ कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट, वर्कर्स ने हेलमेट नहीं पहना है, शूज नहीं बराबर पहना है, प्लास्टिक वाले, व्हाट ऑल दोस थिंग्स. Photos, fire extinguisher expired, photo, missing labels. Immediately, photographs are very good in those cases. Right? You know where it can be done, where it can't be done. Site visits on all those areas, you can do it. प्रोसेस गैप हाईलाइट करना है मेरे को, तो मैं फ्लो चार्ट में उसको एक रेड कर दूं ऐसा दैट दिस इज एन मिस्टेक की गैप, ऐसा कोई सिंबल बना दूं सारे, ऑल की गैप्स आर पुट सम ड्राइंग देयर, रीडर को क्लियरली पता चल गया कि ये प्रोसेस बराबर है. या 5 सिस्टम डिजाइन गैप्स. सो इफ यू आर कमेंटिंग ऑन द सिस्टम डिजाइन, यू कैन कमेंट दैट ईयर गैप 1, गैप 2, गैप 3 not ideal, or you do as is flow chart, ideal flow chart, and give a comparison that ये 5 steps यहाँ missing थे, यहाँ मैंने ऐड कर दिया. This is the ideal system, follow this system. These are various examples when various things that you can do. फ्लो चार्ट बनाने को नहीं आता, मेरे को एक और प्रॉब्लम आता है कि अरे फ्लो चार्ट बनाने में टाइम बहुत लगता है. But there are applications which are available which make the flow chart in seconds, right? नाउ इट इज नॉट द टाइम वेर आई नीड टू, ये मेरे को बैठ के ड्राइंग करना है, ऐसा बनाना है रेक्टेंगुलर, तो फ्लो चार्ट में स्मार्ट आर्ट अवेलेबल है. देर आर एप्स विच आर अवेलेबल, फ्रीली अवेलेबल एप्स. यूजर फीस भी नहीं लगता है कभी कभी किसी में तो, राइट? यू कैन डू सम ऑफ दिस थिंग्स इफ यू ट्राई. सो इट्स नॉट वेरी कॉस्टली, it is not such a time consuming thing. It is just that your mind should be thinking in this manner. Uh, this is a tool which typically people use like a mind map, create mind mapping. तो imagine your observation कि कैसे मैं communicate करना चाहता हूँ. What is the central idea? What should be the next step? Just imagining it in the mind, creating the theme, creating the flow, right? Getting the right figures, pictures in, and imagining this entire process, organizing it in the right way, and visualizing it. I think those are something which is very important, and we should do it as a practice. Maybe the first time you are not able to do it, but it's a practice. Keep on doing it, keep on imagining it, keep on improving it. It is something where, as you know, as I said earlier, art hai, science hai. I think science is identifying the right observation, but art is the way you present it. Understanding your customer, most important thing. बैंक में KYC करते हैं. You are also understanding your customer, what he looks at. Maybe a foreign client looks at things very differently as compared to a domestic client. Yeah, your language, choice of words, and drafting has to change. There is a subtle change that happens. If you take a cricket example, right? If you are playing in Australia, playing in India, and the way you draft, way you bat is different, way you bowl is different. Same way you draft your report is different if your audience is a non-resident foreigner. Europeans look at it in a different way, Americans will look at it in a different way, and Indian will look at it in a different way. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong, but understand, when I'm talking to a foreigner, I need to talk in a language which he understands. He may not understand GST, उसको GST के बदले आप वैट बोलोगे तो समझ जाएगा जल्दी से. और वैट which is called GST in India, or you explain that this is a value added tax in India, people will understand. People may not understand GST so easily. It's a very small example. I'm not sure whether it is the most right example or not, but at least in the past, I have seen this question that, oh, what is this GST? What happens? What is this law? But you explain it's like VAT, the value added tax. Then people try to get the concept around it, right? Not discussing the point in a proper perspective and then drafting the report, and then stakeholder say no, this drafting is not correct, ये तो correct picture नहीं दिखा रहा है, because you have not understood correctly. So yes, that is the thing which is there. Start में first time right, understand what is there, draft it correctly, queries properly discuss ho, so that your final output is not, otherwise there is a lot of duplication of efforts which keep on happening. No, this drafting is not correct, it is conveying a wrong meaning, it is not doing this, it is not doing that. All those things happen. Seniors की भी expectation समझना चाहिए from a junior point of view. In today's world, Chat GPT, OpenAI आप यूज कर सकते हो। कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी एक डिफरेंट पार्ट है, बट यू सी द आउटपुट विच हैज बीन गिवन बाय चैट जीपीटी। ये प्रॉम्प्ट दिया था उसको, कैन यू हेल्प मी ड्राफ्ट द ऑब्जर्वेशन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंश्योरेंस। यू मे गिव सम टेंटेटिव नंबर्स, पर उन्होंने ये दे दिया था ना, एंड यू कैन रिप्लेस विद द करेक्ट नंबर्स। You see how organized in a proper manner it is there. It is giving risk, it is giving observation, it is giving a very crisp drafting. अगर मैं किसी ह्यूमन को देता तो उसमें 3 बार तो स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक कर लेता, राइट? इट्स नॉट दैट वी आर रिप्लेसिंग ह्यूमंस, बट सी देयर इज अ वे वेर यू कैन रिड्यूस टाइम. Copy pasting again should not be done. Please be careful while using any of these techniques, but you should be aware that these techniques are available. If you completely ignore these techniques and not are not willing to change to the newer world, then I think you will be overtaken by people who are moving very fast. So this is something which we need to be very clear about. Right? It has drafted it so beautifully. During our audit, we observed that the company took a policy for 1576 employees as of December 22. However, as of March 23, employee headcount had increased to 1986, resulting into 410 employees being underinsured. Admin team stated that they were not informed about the increase in the headcount due to a communication gap. So it is clearly highlighting communication gap, admin team's explanation, risk, नीचे आ गया, tabulation of the data, right? Clearly 410 under insurance हुआ, risk is clearly defined, financial losses का risk है, under insurance का risk है, all this is there very clear. So same way, and we would have written a good report drafter would have written, right? No spelling mistakes, no grammatical errors. Yeah. So see how you can use artificial intelligence. Lot of apps are available where you can standardize some of the report drafting things. You can also standardize, you make a library of various inter-audit reports in your office. उसका पिवट टेबल बना लो ऑब्जर्वेशन वाइज, दैट पीओ, ओपन पीओ, ये क्लाइंट में इतना इतना ड्राफ्टिंग किया है, टीम को बोलो ये ड्राफ्ट सिलेक्ट कर लो, ये ड्राफ्ट सिलेक्ट कर लो, देन मेक चेंजेस. Your time in drafting the report will reduce, standardization will improve, and then you do some improvisation. Improve कैसे किया उसको जाए, क्लाइंट को और कनेक्ट कैसे किया जाए, एटलीस्ट बेसिक मिस्टेक्स विल रिड्यूस, and then you can connect it to a larger audience. So use a lot of techniques. This will improve efficiency. This will improve productivity. Report format. SIA does not specify any format. So it can be Excel, it can be PPT, whatever you want to. But कंटेंट में क्लैरिटी है. ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स प्रोवाइड के रिपोर्ट में क्या कंटेंट होना चाहिए. इट शुड हैव ऑब्जर्वेशन, इट शुड हैव फैक्ट्स, इट शुड हैव रिकमेंडेशन, इट शुड हैव रिस्क. ये क्लैरिटी है. द ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स गिव दिस क्लैरिटी, राइट? सो फॉर्मेट कैन बी बेस्ड ऑन क्लाइंट्स एक्सपेक्टेशन. आई हैव अ क्लाइंट वो बोला आप पीपीटी में रिपोर्ट मत दो मेरे को, एक्सेल में रिपोर्ट, तो फिर मैं उसको एलोकेट करने को ईजी पड़ता है, नंबर ऑफ काउंट, it is easier for me. Maybe then he will upload it in his own software, and then they will do the tracking for implementation. That is more useful for him. So they wanted Excel based report that worked for him. The same Excel based report will not work for everybody else, right? So understand that. Consistently format देने का, so it becomes an identity to your form. That इसका रिपोर्ट आता तो इसी फॉर्मेट में आता है, कहाँ देखने का, क्या देखने का, क्रिटिकलिटी कौन सा पेज पे मिलेगा. There is comfort with that format. These are the elements of an internal report which I said कि इतना होना ही चाहिए. टाइटल प्लीज उतना. डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लिस्ट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. रिपोर्ट का रीडर कौन है, वी मिस दिस. हु इज द रीडर ऑफ द रिपोर्ट. दिस रिपोर्ट इज गोइंग टू प्रोसेस ऑनर, हु इज दिस रिपोर्ट गोइंग टू कौन है, कॉपी में कौन है, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. पीरियड ऑफ कवरेज, इंट्रोडक्शन, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ द रिपोर्ट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. स्कोपिंग, इंश्योर दैट स्कोप इज करेक्ट, लिमिटेशंस हैं, एक्सक्लूजन्स हैं, बहुत केयरफुली ड्राफ्ट करना चाहिए. समरीज हैं, डिटेल्ड ऑब्जर्वेशंस, मैनेजमेंट कमेंट, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. मोस्ट ऑफ द ऑडिट कमिटीज दे लुक एट वो मैनेजमेंट ने क्या एक्शन लिया, व्हाट इज द मैनेजमेंट रिस्पॉन्स टू द ऑब्जर्वेशन, समथिंग वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Sign, signature, membership number, UDIN. UDIN is important. Internal audit report, UDIN is applicable. Please ensure it is done. Restriction on circulation, another important thing. This report would be meant for certain purposes. It can't be circulated to everybody. Some of the very, very important things, please note, please take care. Yeah. This is something which is very, very normal. What it should contain, background about the company, identification of the processes, what you are auditing, management responsibility statement, responsibility of the internal auditor, all those things. These are all standard paragraphs. Make a standard paragraph for your firm. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, कीप डूइंग दैट. सो स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन हो गया, इसमें आपका जो भी लायबिलिटीज कवर करना है लीगल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, यू कैन ड्राफ्ट दोस पैराग्राफ्स स्टैंडर्ड के कंप्लायंस के हिसाब से एंड कीप इट रेडी. Scope, obviously it is there, but ensure this is correctly. These two are very important. Sampling and limitations, if any. I think these are two very important points, right? Inter audit standards mein there is an assurance report and there is a not an assurance report. So based on that, also sometimes things are changing. When you're giving an assurance on internal control, when you're not giving an assurance, where you're just doing the audit in area but not giving an assurance, any assurance on the controls. People ask for this point. What is the population? Kitna samples dekha? Kitna check kiya? What is the sampling technique used? Whether there was any biasness or not. So this has to be very clearly brought out. Random sampling. I use this method. I use this. I use this. Whatever you have used. This is the normal thing, that what was the factual root cause, effect, implication, recommendation. Many times I've seen people do not give correct recommendations, impractical recommendations करते हैं. Without application of mind, recommendations are given, but recommendation is the biggest area. See, for internal audit, to create value, it has to be more of a consulting, more of where you are advising that ये करिए, ये नहीं करिए. This is, we are a doctor for internal controls, sort of a thing. जब मैनेजमेंट को कोई प्रॉब्लम है कि कंट्रोल वीकनेसेस लग रहा है, वेदर प्रोसेस है कि नहीं, दी कम टू द इंटरऑडिटर सेइंग कि आप एग्जामिन करो ठीक है कि नहीं सब. So you have to think about that. Give a proper recommendation. You cannot give vague recommendations just like that, because it happens so at the end, recommendations का पे ध्यान नहीं देते कोई. Then it's like just completed a work. Do not make that mistake. Again, this what is wrong, why it is wrong, how to correct, what will be done. Very important. See, these words are very, very strong and powerful words. What, why, how to correct. So here, this is the observation, root cause, suggestion. And according to me, most of the senior people should spend time here. Suggestion, most important. And this is management action. Focus on these things. These two become very important. Obviously, first part is there, उसके बिना तो ये हो ही नहीं सकता. But currently, these things are taking a back seat. आप ऑब्जर्वेशन पे लोग फोकस कर लेते हैं. रूट कॉज का आइडेंटिफिकेशन नहीं होता बिकॉज देर इज नो ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग विच हैपेंस. Risk rating, very important, because how do you know which is important, not important, what to do, what not to do, right? So the risk rating of the observation is something which is very important. Sorry. Generally, in our firm, we try to rate it as high, medium, low. Information, that you're just giving an information. For example, debtors aging present किया. अब डेटर्स एजिंग में अनलेस यू हैव एन ऑब्जर्वेशन, इट इज जस्ट एन इन्फॉर्मेशन. मैनेजमेंट को तो अपना एजिंग मिलता ही है, राइट? मैनेजमेंट के पास एजिंग होता है, तो व्हाट वैल्यू आर यू एडिंग, व्हाट रिकमेंडेशंस आर यू गिविंग? एजिंग देख के वो तो बोल नहीं सकते प्लीज कलेक्ट ऑन टाइम, दे नो दे हैव टू कलेक्ट ऑन टाइम. तो आर यू गिविंग सम एजिंग और आर यू गिविंग एन इन्फॉर्मेशन? हम कंपेरेटिव एनालिसिस करने की, डेटर्स बढ़ गया या नंबर ऑफ डेज आउटस्टैंडिंग बढ़ गया, बट स्टिल इट इज मोर ऑफ एन इन्फॉर्मेशन टू हिम, देयर इज नो ऑब्जर्वेशन देयर. ऑडिट ऑब्जर्वेशन क्या निकला इसका? क्यों बढ़ा, किसकी वजह से बढ़ा, क्रेडिट लिमिट बढ़ा दिया था, क्रेडिट एक्सपोजर डेज बढ़ा दिए थे, कुछ किसी ने पॉलिसी के अगेंस्ट कुछ काम किया था, राइट? सो देयर कुड बी लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स वेर यू गिव इन्फॉर्मेशन. यू डू सेल्स एनालिसिस ऑफ 3 ईयर्स, सेइंग सेल बढ़ गया या सेल घट गया, तो सेल घट गया इज नॉट एन ऑब्जर्वेशन, इट्स मोर ऑफ एन इन्फॉर्मेशन. मैनेजमेंट को मालूम है उसका सेल घट गया, उनका ही कंपनी, उनको मालूम रहता है. रिकमेंडेशंस, देयर आर सम चेंजेस दैट यू, मेरे को अभी तक ऑब्जर्वेशंस नहीं मिले, बट जैसे रिकमेंडेशन, प्लीज डू दिस विल इम्प्रूव द करंट प्रोसेस, right? So there are certain things which are recommendatory in nature, or it is also called PIO, process improvement opportunities, PIO, right? So this is another way to put at it. Some people write recommendations, some people write PIO, process improvement opportunities. It's more of a modern term which people are writing. Management comments भी लेना एक आर्ट है, because people don't give reply on time. I think it's a common problem. Everybody has faced this. Time frames क्या थे, right? Who is going to take action? Who is responsible? Does he have the resources to take action? Yeah. Audit committee focuses on this very much. Very important. अगर उन्होंने प्रॉमिस किया था कि दिस इशू विल बी एड्रेस्ड इन नेक्स्ट 3 मंथ्स, और उसके बाद के रिपोर्ट में भी वो पॉइंट आता है, एंड देन स्टिल द रिपोर्ट इज नॉट एड्रेस, देन यू हैव टू गिव अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग रीजन व्हाई इट इज नॉट हैपनिंग. हु इज लुकिंग इनटू इट? इज अ पर्सन टेकिंग इंटरेस्ट इन दिस इशू? कैसे एड्रेस, क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, कहाँ अटक गया गाड़ी? So this is how you typically look at a lot of such things. We have tried to cover a journey where elements of internal audit report, common mistakes, tips to improve. We have tried to cover that complete journey. The next section that we will try to look at is executive summaries, because this is what senior management को interest करता है, executive summaries. They want to look at it in that manner, right? And these are some things where a small summary of the report, but it has to create a big impact. It has to create a big impact. Unless you are able to create a big impact out of an executive summary, आपका रिपोर्ट का वैल्यू नहीं रहता है. यू हैव टू क्रिएट योर ओन थिंग. सो एक्जीक्यूटिव समरी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड पीपल जनरली क्या बोलते हैं, हाँ एग्जीक्यूटिव समरी क्या है, वो समरी है ना रिपोर्ट का, तो सारा पॉइंट छोटे में लिख दो या सबके टाइटल कॉपी कर लो. पीपल ट्राई टू डू दैट. But sometimes in an executive summary, you have to present your own perspective. It has to be from big to small. क्या है मैसेज, क्या है बोलना, क्या चाहते हो? आई थिंक थ्री इडियट्स, राइट? पीपल हैव रेड दिस. वो मूवी में तो देखा था, डेफिनेशन एक बोला तो पूरा बुक का डेफिनेशन बोल दिया, राइट? मोटर का डेफिनेशन और समथिंग वाज दैट. देन व्हाट डिड द प्रोफेसर से, बोलना क्या चाहते हो? द एग्जीक्यूटिव समरी हैज टू स्टार्ट विद व्हाट आई वांट टू से. थिंग्स आर इन ऑर्डर, थिंग्स आर नॉट इन ऑर्डर. मेक दैट बोल्ड स्टेटमेंट and then move from macro to micro. Engage the audience, take the attention of that audience. So that is very important. It has to be cryptic. And ये people read the executive summary first, and if the executive summary is interesting, आगे पढ़ते हैं. Right? Obviously, audit committee, time constraints, macro perspective, we spoke about it. Pick and choose. Reader can decide what he wants, he doesn't want. Cross-referencing to the main report. All those things should be done. Uh, uh, and your judgment will be based on your executive summary, that what did you present. For example, there is a listed client where I do work, we issue 20, 15, 20 reports in a quarter. 15, 20 reports, maybe the senior most management has not read 15 reports, right? It is being read at different levels. Such a large company, one department is doing there, another department IT is doing IT report, HR का report HR के पास गया. Now when you meet the CFO, you have to tell him that 15 रिपोर्ट का समरी क्या है, क्या बोलना क्या चाहते हो, राइट, वेयर व्हाट डू यू वांट टू डू. सो अगेन, समराइजिंग, आइडेंटिफाइंग द राइट थिंग्स, उनका पर्सपेक्टिव समझ के उनको अपडेट देना, उनको समराइज करना. फ्रॉम देयर सीईओ के लिए कुछ समरी होना. फ्रॉम देयर गो टू द ऑडिट कमिटी के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से व्हाट इज टू बी कम्युनिकेटेड टू द ऑडिट कमिटी, हाउ इट इज टू बी कम्युनिकेटेड, आर यू giving a balance and a fair presentation, or you are miscommunicating things. Typically auditors sometimes in audit committee वो कुछ और ही बोल देते हैं और ही कम्युनिकेट करते हैं. इट यू आर वांटिंग टू से एक्स एंड इट इज बीइंग सेड वाई जेड एनीथिंग, right? So an executive summary could be, where you say total high risk observations कितने थे, what were medium risk observations, what are the good points, what happened to previous points, and different audit committees, different board of directors, different promoters, they have very different expectations. Some wants to go into depth, some want to look at it from a very 15,000 feet summary, 30,000 feet summary. People want to look at it very differently. So try and see that whether that balance is being maintained, not maintained. For different audit committees, you may have to have a different strategy. इनको ऐसा लगता है, उनको ऐसा देना है. ऐसा नहीं है कि भाई एक भी प्रेजेंटेशन सब जगह चलेगा, कॉपी पेस्ट, खाली नीचे का माल चेंज करो and you keep on the format also same. No, sometimes format has to change because you have to know your audience. Again, the first thing which I said, know your audience and then see how you can take it forward. Very important, clear, concise, simple. Simple is the most critical word. Everything has to be simple. No complications. Make it very simple. ए फॉर एप्पल की जैसे समझना चाहिए, राइट. सेंटेंस वर्सेस बुलेट्स कंसिस्टेंट. अभी कोई कोई कहीं पे सेंटेंस लिखा, कहीं पे बुलेट किया, नहीं. फ्लो कैन बी डिफरेंट. रिपोर्ट में जो फ्लो है वैसा जरूरी नहीं है. हियर अगेन ऑडियंस इज चेंजिंग, पूरा अलग तरह से कर सकते हो विदाउट चेंजिंग द ऑब्जर्वेशन. मैसेज हैज टू बी डिफरेंट. पीपल डू नॉट क्वांटिफाई. क्वांटिफिकेशन के बिना कुछ नहीं हो सकता. दिस इज हाउ द टाइमिंग्स कुड बी डिफरेंट. इनिशियली फुल रिपोर्ट में एग्जीक्यूटिव समरी नहीं होता, बोर्ड मीटिंग के लिए जाता है सेपरेटली, डायरेक्टर्स के लिए सेपरेटली प्रिपेयर होता है, because time is a constraint. Lot of 50, as I said, 15 reports. Now 15 reports you can't go through one point by point with the CFO. तो पूरा 15 दिन निकल जाएगा, 15 घंटा 20 घंटा निकल जाएगा रिपोर्ट. will nothing. Might as well people will do their job. Open points of last report, critical points, high risk areas, all those things you have to use your judgment and then navigate accordingly. Otherwise, you will not be able to reach to the right end and effectiveness of the entire process will go. So this is something which you can do as an given you some summary that yes, revenue में कोई high risk areas नहीं था, 4 medium risk areas were there. इसको देख के ऐसा लगता है very clearly that statutory compliance 6 high risk areas, 5 medium, weak control. So focus किस पे करना है, मैनेजमेंट को मालूम है, this is the key area. This chart is self-explanatory. Strong area human resources, no problem. कैश में does not seem to be a major problem. फिक्स एसेट्स में इतना इशू नहीं है, 1-2 पॉइंट ही है. परचेज स्टोर 6 मीडियम पॉइंट्स, थोड़ा सेकंड प्रायोरिटी में लेते हैं इसको. रेवेन्यू इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया है, उसमें भी 4 ऑब्जर्वेशन आया मीडियम रिस्क, तो ये 3 एरिया पे मैं फोकस करता हूँ. अदर एरियाज आई मे नॉट फोकस सो मच, राइट. So such type of an exhibits, charts, they give a very good picture about how things are going, which should be the focus areas for the management. It gives a direction and then management we want to understand, हाँ 6 हाई रिस्क पॉइंट बताओ क्या प्रॉब्लम है इसमें. इसमें प्रोसिक्यूशन का रिस्क है, पेनल्टीज का रिस्क है, क्या है. लेट अस लुक एट इट इन दैट मैनर. करेक्ट. यस. डू नॉट डिले. आई थिंक दिस इज द बिगेस्ट mistake that which chartered accountants make. रिपोर्ट इशू करने में इतना डिले करते हैं, unless there is a deadline, we don't do it. Especially in internal audit, I am sure many people who are listening to me right now would agree to me that we really delay issuing our reports. We do not issue it on time, right? So is the newspaper example very clear? 5 rupees per edition at 7 a.m., 10 rupees per kg, right? See the big difference. And same way with internal audit. They don't want to know things जो हो गया अभी past में. They want to know today's things. Today when you go to a client meeting, pitch for internal audit, बोलते हैं आप मेरे को ऑब्जर्वेशन 6 महीने बाद बताओगे, तब तक तो क्या करूं मैं, पैसा रिकवर किसके पास से करूं? They want to know as of today what is happening, what is wrong today, because the world is moving very fast. Business is changing. आप ये ऑब्जर्वेशन अप्रैल टू जून का ऑब्जर्वेशन किया, सितंबर में उनको रिपोर्ट दिया, तो बोले अप्रैल टू जून हो गया, सेकंड क्वार्टर भी हो गया, अब तो ये शायद आपने जो पॉइंट दिया वो रेलेवेंट नहीं है, मैंने सिस्टम ऑलरेडी चेंज कर दिया, ये पीपल हैव चेंज, वो आदमी रिजाइन कर गया, अभी उसका ऑब्जर्वेशन का रिप्लाई किसके पास से लाओ? Right? You have to understand this. There has to be very, very strict timelines. Make an internal auditor charter that yes, report ये 3 दिन में कर, report to be done in 2 weeks, execution 2 weeks, 1 week report, 1 week discussion, 1 week reply, management audit discussion इतना में. So within 30 to 40 days of that audit complete, start of the audit, you complete and wind up. If it is a large area, break it into 2 small areas, 2 report बनाओ उसका. It is very important that we communicate that in a proper manner, in a proper thing, so that things are on time, management को उसका value मिले, and the report is issued periodically. Yeah. So I think we can take questions. As I said, beyond the point, things will get repeated. But if people have questions, I can share more practical examples along with that. Yeah. Obviously, we will share the copy of the presentation with the participants also. Yeah.
Uh, I think people are highly satisfied with your session, so no, I cannot see any questions.
Okay. That is a little strange, but in case anybody wants to, yeah, because I don't know a number of participants I don't see here. Maybe it is not showing on my screen. Uh,
Yeah, I guess 200 participants are there, but
hmm, hmm.
many people are demanding PPT only.
Yeah, PPT I will circulate with to on the group on WhatsApp, and then you can share the PPT with the people who have registered. I am okay with that. Yeah,
Hmm.
as whatever process you are following. Yeah.
Still, sir, you are saying कि we are addressing to non-financial people
Yeah.
the internal audit report. Then, if you want to present some financial terms, means want to tell some financial terms and report, then how to
Yeah.
tell them?
I'll explain that. See, for example, most of the time, who is your audience? Means generally the promoter. Promoter may be a typical businessman. And first question that really you need to put that financial term in the report. Is it really necessary for your observation?
Maybe some ratios and all.
Is it necessary? What are you trying to give a message? Ratios people understand, but still, do you really need to give a ratio? What message do you want to give? Can you not say आपने डेटर टर्नओवर का रेशियो दे दिया दो कंपेरेटिव, बट उससे अच्छा
हाँ,
कांट यू जस्ट सिंपली से कि नंबर ऑफ डेज
okay,
आउटस्टैंडिंग बढ़ गया है?
okay.
कांट यू जस्ट सिंपली से दिस स्टेटमेंट? इज इट नॉट
Hmm.
सिंपल? उसको ये
Hmm.
देने का रेशियो, फिर वो कंपेयर करेगा, उसको इंटरप्रिट करेगा और समझेगा जो
Hmm.
चार्टर्ड
Hmm.
अकाउंटेंट नहीं है. एंड आई एम यूजिंग हिंदी बिकॉज आई थिंक लॉट ऑफ पीपल मे कनेक्ट इट हियर, दैट व्हाई वुड
Yeah.
यू वांट टू मेक इट, व्हाई दैट दिस पर्सन हैज टू अप्लाई हिज माइंड while reading
Hmm.
the report. There is a simple message to businessman. जो प्रमोटर धंधा करता है उसको सब पता होता है, because he is doing the business, he is running
Yes.
the show, he knows it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you just communicate to him that number of days outstanding बढ़ गया है, कुछ अपने पॉलिसी चेंज किया है क्या, या मार्केट स्लो हो गया है क्या पेमेंट में, या फॉलो अप नहीं हो रहा है क्या अपने टीम से, once you put it up in this manner or you discuss in this manner, I think you connect little better. Especially हाँ, अगर आपके सामने कोई CFO है and you think that that person because he's a chartered accountant and all those things, and for him all these ratios makes a lot of sense. So there are some set of audience who like looking at some of these things.
Mm.
There your understanding of your customer becomes very important, that what do you understand by him. Generally promoters, right, they don't want to look at
Mm.
jargons. They
Right.
want to look at what it means to them. Some of the
Yes.
CFOs understand that, but not because I have seen some promoters who are not who are running very very big companies, thousands of crore of companies चलाते हैं, they may not be graduate also.
Oh.
They are running big companies and these are all known examples. ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई ऐसा होता है नहीं है. They may be just be a BCom या ग्रेजुएट भी नहीं किया होगा, but today they are running very large enterprises, big big business conglomerates चला रहे हैं लोग. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि उनको नहीं समझ रहा. They understand the language of business.
Yes.
But do not go very overcomplicate it. Sometimes so impairment and all those things, very very hyper technical terms we try to use. That impairment also can be put it very simply ना सर, ये मशीन हमने लिया है लेकिन इसे यूज नहीं कर रहे हम लोग. दिस मशीन इज नॉट बीइंग यूज फॉर सो मेनी डेज. रेदर देन सेइंग कि इसमें इम्पेरिमेंट का इशू है तो इसको क्या करना है, वेदर यू हैव टू राइट ऑफ, वेदर व्हाट डू यू वांट टू डू, राइट. मेक इट वेरी सिंपल and in a very manner which other person appreciates and understands that what you are trying to say. Sometimes it happens that we want to say कि भाई हम chartered accountant है तो we try to use accounting standard languages and all those things, but वो जरूरी नहीं होता है इतना.
Okay. So, so shall we proceed, sir?
Yeah, we can. Unless if there are no questions, we can proceed. We will share the presentation.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful and enriching session. And your guidance will definitely help us to improve our audit report in both ways, content and presentation, like you said, with timely and with very various exhibits and all. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are also thankful to Chandrasekhar Chitale sir, chairman, and CA Ravi Kumar Patwas sir, vice chairman of Internal Audit Standards Board, for their time, support, and continued encouragement for the webinar series. And last but not the least, we thank you all the participants and viewers for joining this webinar, today's webinar, in large numbers.
Thank
Thank
you.
you once
Thank you.
again.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.